It's 9 o'clock, and for those of you that were in Vegas, you know that I'm fanatical about starting on time. However, we're not going to start on time because Michael Anderle isn't here yet. Yeah, he is only staying in this hotel because so he could make it on time. Anybody know any good jokes?
It's not a joke, but where's Michael Cooper?
He was outside just a moment ago. Okay. We have an announcement. Charlie Finn has offered to do a cover for everybody who is in attendance. But you got to stop by, you got to sign her book, and leave a note. So if you'd like an ebook cover. How y'all doing this morning? We're not live streaming yet, are we?
Yes. and you're off camera, mate.
Okay.
You need to be in the middle.
I'm just killing time. I guess we can start. I'll make it work. No, he might be in the middle of something important. 20 books to 50K. Michael Anderle, when he comes in, he'll make a great entrance because he's Michael Anderle. In March of 2016, I ran across him over on K-boards, and people were giving him a hard time about his process of writing quickly and publishing quickly and building the readership. So he started a group called 20 Books to 50K based on a very simple premise that you could live well in Cabo for $35,000 a year. He took his books and he was saying, hey, my first 3 books, I'm making about $750 a day. So if you take that times 20 books, you make $50,000 a year. And $35,000 is all you need to live well in Cabo, so you can pay your taxes and go and live fine. So what's it take to get that $7.50 per book per day? It isn't 20 books in a year. It could be take whatever time. It's just you need to have that constancy of sales. And what we've seen, and Michael, he didn't even live up to his own premise. He made his first 50K, I believe, on his 4th or 5th book, because it's not a mathematical progression, so it's a logarithmic. As your sales, especially as you gain those readers, it grows up faster and faster, doubles and triples and quadruples. So they pick up faster than just $750 a day. So all you have to do is make this amount on a book in a year, and there you are. But how do you do that? And this is what Michael professed. It starts with a great story. You have to have characters that people can relate to. You have to make them feel good. It's an escape. Because as we say, what I write as well is pulp. We write something, it's like TV. Turn it on, you watch it, you escape from the real world for a few minutes, and you get into the story, you relate to the characters. And that's the serial approach, using a series. Oh, I'm killing you, aren't I, with the...
Stand still.
I'll just...
Yeah, that's perfect.
Doing a series, because you get that readership invested, and this is how you progress. If you get that core 2,000, now that becomes 4,000 readers. Hey, you got to get into Bethany Ann. You have to get into Therian Gambit. And now it becomes 6,000, and then 8,000, and 20,000 readers. And for me, I joined Michael in December. He came and asked me in August of 2016, hey, you write post-apocalyptic, you're a Marine. Can you write this offshoot series for me? And I said, sure, why not? Because I had a lull in my production schedule. And since then, our books, our collaborative books, have made over $250,000 in 1 year. And that's because we have a core readership of about 10,000 people who will pick up each of our book. Our read-through is almost 100%. Characters that they can relate to. You end, happily, each book is a story in and of itself within a greater story arc. So that's our process. Can you do it with standalones? I don't know. All I know is here's what we do. And coming back to 20 books, coming back to 20 books, it's a smorgasbord, a buffet. You take these things that work for you and you put them into practice. All we can say is here's what has worked for us. We're not prescriptive. We're not saying you must. You don't have to put out a book a month. We just do because we do. And because we write full time. I work 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have for, I don't know, the last 26, 27 months. So it doesn't really happen overnight. It's not automatic. It's not easy. It's hard work. But if you work hard at the right things, and one of the best things that Michael Anderle did for me, besides telling me to change my covers on my original series, is introduce me to some great beta readers. People who would look at my stuff and turn it around within a day. So I could send them 10,000 words, and they'd say, hey, this works, this doesn't work, I hate this character, I love this character. And you get that feedback, then you can shape that story. Shape that story where the readers, this is reader feedback, these aren't writers, that can then relate to anybody else who picks up the book. So it makes it a better story. And that feedback, you can't beat that. Oh, you're right there. Eric has been great for us too as well. Just read that story and say, hey, this works, this doesn't work, this isn't, the name's wrong. In the series that I wrote with Michael, the Terry Henry Walton Chronicles, in the first book, I said, hey, I need names for 4 werewolves. Michael sent me 4 names. In book 2 through book 10, I changed one of the names inadvertently. And we discovered that in book 6, when finally the audiobooks were trailing behind us, right? And somebody said, hey, I'm listening to the audiobooks. I'm just listening to them one after the other. And Simmons, he's now Timmons. and I said, hey, Michael. I call him up. And he's like, wow, you think we should change it? I'm like, Michael, we got the other 5 audiobooks done. So we've got 4 audiobooks with the wrong name. Or we have 1 audiobook with the wrong name. So anyway, it's one of those things we just put in our author notes and said, oh, by the way, if you see this, yes, it's our mistake and it's going to be there. Those things happen, it's okay. But you have good beta readers. We didn't have that beta reader team on board yet to catch that, otherwise they would have. Because we did that in later books, but people like Erica, Mickey Cocker, they found those and saved us from ourselves. Because as you write, anybody who writes serials write fast, you'll find that you have 1,000 names in your head, and trying to keep those straight, you're worried about the details of the story and not Simmons or Timmons. Who cares? So, why are you here? Why are you here? Hopefully not to see Michael Anderle, because you might not get that. But you're here because there's a mountain to climb. The base is infinitely wide. It's filled with people who said, I really want to write a book, and didn't. One step up from that is the people who said, I want to write a book, and actually did. And then now we start the climb. How do you sell that book? Because once you write the book, you find out that's the hardest thing you're ever going to do, writing a book. Until you've written it, and then you find out it's only half the battle. Because now, as soon as you put that book up for sale on Amazon or wherever.
Then step over that. You're off.
Okay, that's your line. A network would work great if it weren't for the users.
It's good.
So climbing up the mountain. Once you've written the book, you're looking at it, you publish it. You are now a self-published author. You sell a copy. You are now a professional author. But that selling that 1 copy, earning the $2, doesn't quite put you in diamonds or pay off that cover, pay off the editor. So what do? Well, now you have to put on your I'm a publisher hat, and you have to market that book, which that sucks. It's not, hey, look at me, read Craig Martelle's books because he writes great books. Who does that? Because it's not how we are. But you have to put on that other hat and say, what does it take to sell this product? Yeah, your baby that you spent a year, 2 years writing is now a product. And that's kind of hard to fathom, but you have to change that mindset. You have to become a marketer for a minute, and then the rest of the day you take that off and you put on your creative hat and you're now an author again. So separate those two personas and you're going to find that you're better off. And we still don't have Michael.
He's coming. He's coming.
All right, good. Because I'm not done dancing here. And I'm between these lines. It's like a basketball court. So you market your books, and that's what this conference is about. It's more about marketing. It's not as much about craft. But understand the most important thing you need is craft. You have to tell a great story. You have to get feedback, and you have to improve as you go. Nobody writes that perfect book on the first one. Almost nobody. Okay? You listen to your readers, and how do you know if you've written a great book or not? You have to get it out there. I wrote this space opera. Well, you find out it's not space opera, it's space adventure, something different. Well, then remarket it. That's okay. Nothing in this business is the kiss of death. You should have seen my first book, my first cover, my first unedited book. But you know what? If I hadn't published that, then I wouldn't be here today. I unpublished it later, split it into two, and actually a traditional publisher bought it because they liked the story, but they said, you need to change your title, you need to change the cover, need to get it edited, need to break it into two parts. So needed to change everything except the story. Because they had the marketing hat on. I had, hey, this is a pretty good story. But they had everything else. So I have 4 books with a traditional publisher, which helps, because I learned some from them. But then I joined MSN. I learned from Michael Anderle as well. Here's how to do this and get that feedback from the readers. You'll see this, we've got Michael Cooper here. He's got an hour today talking about Facebook ads. Nobody knows Facebook ads better than him. Mark Dawson will be here later today. And he was going to talk about AMS ads. However, he's going to talk about going Kindle Unlimited. That was a big thing that he did this year with the first 6 books in his series. And he's been very, very successful, especially here in the UK. More in the UK than the US. Michael Anderle. Oh, you're not up to that. So, marketing, ads, climbing the mountain, the smorgasbord. Learn what you need to know when you need to know it. The most important thing is what you need to know right now. You can get overwhelmed. How many people in here have not yet published or published only 1 book? You have to have a landing page. You must have a website. You must have your AMS ads set up. You have to do pre-orders. No. What you have to do is you have to write a great book, and then you do those other things. People want newsletter. Oh, I need 10,000 people on my newsletter list. No, you don't. Not to start. It helps when you go. But do you want people on your newsletter list who have never read one of your books? How do you know that they're a buyer? There's one thing that we say you must have as a self-published author, and that's readers who are willing to pay for your books. Otherwise, you're doing it just as a hobby. You're giving away your books. You need to sell those books. And you need to sell them to people who are willing to pay for them because you've written a great story. So craft, we don't talk craft because there's so many different genres. It's very, very genre specific. RWA, Romance Writers Association, they talk about romance craft. SIFWA talks about science fiction and fantasy craft. But we're talking about marketing. How do you get that book into other people's hands? Blurb, cover. Kevin McLaughlin and I and Andrew Bell are going to talk about cover, blurb, first page. We've got some that we'll look at. Some people volunteer. John Highmarsh, where are you, John? John offered his book up, so we'll murderboard it here, which is a good military term. Throw it up on the screen. We'll talk about it. How does this hit you? Because it all goes in the presentation, but that's not your author hat. That's your marketing hat. You take that off, and is this cover right? I love the artwork on this cover. It doesn't sell the book. You need artwork that will sell the book. You need a blurb that will sell the book. You don't need a synopsis. And authors are the absolute worst people to write their own blurbs. Put on your marketing hat, and now you can write a better blurb. Put that checkbook away, there's more. Cool. I mean, authors don't think that way. They're thinking, hey, Jack goes here and he does great things, and then he meets this person. No. Remove all that. That's bullshit. You got to get the people to turn the page. And this is what Michael said. When I first started writing with him, I wrote that first chapter, and I ended it, and they did great things. And he's like, oh my God, don't do that. You have to end it where it's not an end, but they want to turn the page. He said the goal of his books is that they start reading and can't put it down until they hit the end. So they did great things, and they heard a sound. Just a few extra words, and they have to turn the page. What was that sound? Mark Dawson used the term unput-downable, which is what he's going for too. You get them to read all the way through the book, they get to the end and say, hell, where's the next book? These are the readers you want. People who want to read your book from start to finish without stopping. Hopefully we can help you here this weekend. I want to thank everybody for coming. This is a good show, a good showing, and we've got some great presenters. And starting with Michael Anderle, he'll be talking about beats, story arcs, because that's having a story arc and a series within that. It's one of the things that we've done to realize some success. Other people have done different things, but all we can tell you is here's what worked for us. I'm not going to say what's worked for you, but we're going to present a bunch of stuff. Smorgasbord, pick what will work for you, try it. If it doesn't work, try something else. Nothing is the kiss of death in this business. You should have seen my first book. Still made it okay. I would also recommend, my first 4 books were in 3 different genres. I would recommend you don't do that. I would recommend sticking with one thing. But the best thing you can do is find those readers, 3,000 words, and find, hey, do you want to keep reading? Is this story compelling? And then 5,000, and then 10,000, and then all of a sudden you've written a whole novel, and the people are like, yes, I love that story, and what's next? You can't beat that when a reader asks you, what's next? When's the next book coming out? You'll see that in a lot of our reviews. Can't wait for the next book. That is about that well-written, can't wait for the next book. That's my perfect review, because I want to hear well-written. That's kind of my personal standard, because there's so many quality versus quantity debates out there. Sure, I publish a book a month, but in a 320-hour work month, I should hope that I could write a 60,000-word book. It's not that. That's not that taxing. I live in the center of Alaska. What else is there to do? So I write that book. And streamlining, as a business consultant, streamlining the process after writing the book. I have an editor on salary. I have a formatter on salary in order to streamline this process. I have the best beta readers in the world. They will turn around a book in 1 day. So I will send them, I used to send them the unedited version, but then I was editing twice. So now I get it to my editor. She'll get it back to me within 5-6 days. The beta readers will do it in a day. So from when I type the end, I can publish 7 days later. I edit as I go. So when I type the end, usually I'll read that last bit and then shoot to my editor. Just because I've read everything else in bits and pieces. I'll reread what I wrote the day before and then go from there. And then start rereading and go from there. And that works for me. After a couple million words, your first draft gets better. Understand, it's running a marathon. The first time you strap on the tennis shoes, you're not going to run a marathon. But after running 10 or 20 marathons, guess what? It's easier. It's easier. And it gets better. And you know yourself. So without further ado, let me hand it over to the first presentation. And if you want to stop the live stream and then start again to make it easier to archive, because people